Alright, we are back and we are in the forest once again. We are back to the segment of getting a ride down and coming to Bugcatcher Anthony, and ideally, as it turns out to get to, and ends up being, we get into another one of the battles that ends up happening. Well, everything gets into an interesting segment, but it will be afterwards. As he ends up sending out his Caterpies. Again, now as it is, Prime is out. Now as it is, we're watching the teams and slowly mature. But usually, the teams and the command like Squeakle or Splenda ends up telling Prime. And it's not reading with this AD. No, this last part she says use the lair and take it down with a low kick one more time. Sounds horrible.
It's this investigation thing about what they do to cows and like slaughterhouses.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, but I can't even say but. Like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up
She
as
got
hell what they're doing to
messages.
these cows, but I eat them, so how the fuck can I feel bad? I eat it.
True.
Because like I feel bad because they don't have to do all the extra shit to them cows. All they need to do is let them motherfucking cows eat, take care of them, and then kill them. But you don't got torch them and then kill them.
Yeah, right. You're so right, though. No, ideally, as this ends up being, when we're thinking about going over to the grass to do more research and do what we have to do, he says this time our Caterpie will not go down that easily. He ends up using a potion and re-healing and re-going. Now, ideally, there is an argument from development about this sectional scene. Ideally, you guys can have that fixed and handled. Okay? But ideally, as it ends up being, he said, I know one of you or girls are meant to battle me again, but which one is it is you? And ideally, as it ends up being, shyfully and kindly, Spleefa steps forward, with it being the final battle against Bugcatcher Anthony. 4 minutes. Now Blind comes out doing her thing. Now ideally as it is, he's telling Miss Caterpie to slow, bowing down, knowing that he went against a man who was him. Now his Caterpie's still from the effects, even though he got re-healed with a potion. Ideally, he still is exhausted to a degree and felt the damage from the last battle. And ideally, did not really get to rest. Ideally, she tells her to use low kick, and if you need to, do a scratch. And she ends up doing scratch. Now, ideally, as the bug catcher keeps doing, he's trying to slow her down for a better attack. Now, ideally, as we all know, it's not even going to be fair for him. Even if I had 2 Caterpies, I'm not beating somebody with 6 types Pokemon. Unless I had a lot of potions. And I would be definitely counting on the lowest once I beat one of them. I just need that extra, boost level, give those extra stat attributes of attack for my Caterpie, and it would go extremely well. Wow. So ideally we get to the last part, and of course Vine gets enough experience. Sadly, I had to go through her part pretty quickly, and we end up going through and continuing on all together. Now, ideally, as it gets, they end up stopping their trucks and all that right here, and we end up having to go through the grass that we were at all together. Ideally, as it will be, I'm going to catch everybody up. As that is a surprise, as I know it was to some viewers, as none of the wild Pokemon bothered us, like I stated. Now, ideally as it is, though, we continue forward to the next patch and get bothered. Now, ideally what it is they're with the bug catchers, and we're with the bug catchers and everything, but and the bug catchers ideally are like wondering, you know, what's going on, kind of, but ideally what it gets down to is they want to battle while we're with the bug catchers. Now, ideally, the cool part would be, if they would have it, is that the bug catchers send out their Weedle. Of course, Rick, he sends out his Weedle and all that, and he gives the signal to, tell them to not attack, but, his Weedle tells us about Weedle not to attack, but ideally the Weedle tells his Weedle back that he wants to battle. And ideally he looks back at the bug train of the bug catcher, and of course the bug catcher symbolizes and knows what his Weedle means and says they want to battle. Now, ideally, if you like, Weedle can be bending out like Weedle was doing in the battle, since it looks like his tail was inside, but his tail can be scratching the top of his horn on his head, and of course that means it symbolizes battle. So ideally, he ends up telling us I have to battle. Like, one of us have to battle this Weedle to get further and get past. It's putting us to the test, and ideally I step up and throw out Vine.
So this video is coming out later, like how fucked you wanna get someone put my tongue between your legs and all.
Is it online on Facebook or is it on something else? Oh my god. I gotta be with my chill. This Caterpie comes out. Now, ideally, as it's gonna be, I'm just gonna let that one slide over because it's Caterpie time. If you would like, it could be a clan of Weedle at first. We'll find out. It's a Metapod pops out also. Interesting. Caterpie flame, they come out. And ideally as it is, after that battle, and ideally as it goes, we know who they're protecting. Prime takes out this Caterpie before it even gets inflicted critical scratch. Or ideally I'm saving her game real quick first, while we are still throughout this episode. As you hear Caterpie, when we will get to that battle, as I will save myself too, also. But ideally, they're hitting hard with those scratches. I'm going to cook that one. That spot sends out Coil for this Metapod. But ideally, as it was, Coil was out in her first hand in the first place when Wine started learning Karate Chop before. Now, ideally, in the continuation of that, Coil has been coming out. So, ideally, as it ends up being, is he comes out and he hardens for this female. Now, ideally, as it ends up being, Rick ends up speaking and stating, don't let Coil tackle, or use tackle to attack that Metapod. And of course, it catches Anthony and the other bug catcher's attention in one variant that our Metapod that we know knows tackle. Do you want to drink some of that? I know we actually have Papa for that. But ideally, as it says, and they all three end up saying, two of them, the new bug catchers that didn't know that Coil knew tackle, they end up saying and speaking that you have to make him evolve.
I might need your help. You help me?
Yeah, what is it?
I'm gonna take the tails off the shrimp.
Oh, okay, that's cool. You want me to throw them away, or?
The cholesterol per serving.
As it ends up being, Spot ends up speaking and saying, Coil needs some assistance. Like, Coil's gonna need some assistance. And ideally, out of nowhere, when she says assistance, Flame's hair comes forward and steps forward for Coil. She steps forward and all that stuff, and she just says to Coil, while Coil's not really moving anyway, she says, Coil, sit back. As Flames growls for him. Jumping stick, jumping stick. And as it is, Metapod's defense is high right now. Now, ideally, as it ends up being, Coil ends up being a little depressed. watching Metapod get hit, and the bug catchers end up saying, "Don't let Coil have to witness this. Don't let your Metapod have to witness this." And she ends up returning Coil and blasting. I mean, Flames ends up saying it's like speaking the Coil science practically in language. No, ideally, if they would like, they make the communicational third part. While Metapod, she ends up saying that to the Coil also, like that she's fine with the battle, and Coil ends up just hardening, and they harden at each other, and he gets returned. Now, there's going to be an interesting, more further sequel that ends up coming with Silk that ends up happening, but it's mainly on the subject of he actually witnessed that Metapod first as a female. But you kind of get the gist after me saying that. As I'm going to save this episode, and we will get to the next episode as we are further along, and we will find out what's going on.